Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. It's Kate Richburg, and I am live for Beadshop Live this fantastic Wednesday morning. Let me make sure that I can see all of you on my social, and then we will get started. So if you're watching and you can hear me, please give me some likes and some thumbs up and all of that good stuff, so I know that you can hear what's going on and see what's going on. I'm gonna look for you guys here and make sure that I can see all of you. Alrighty, let's see here. Can I find you on Facebook? That's always the question. So let me make sure I can find you guys here. But I see that everyone is commenting over on our YouTube channel. So let's just make sure that Facebook is up and running, and then we will get this party started. Great. Let's see. Give me some, let's see, my Facebook is loading. There we go. I see it. Facebook is always a little slower, I think, than YouTube. All right, well, you guys, I am so excited to see you, and let me make sure everything is adjusted correctly. And here I am in 3, 2, and 1. Alrighty, it's great to have you here on this Wednesday. I can see myself, so let me arrange my necklaces, as I like to say, my neck mess. Here we go. It's right there. Alrighty. Well, welcome everyone from all over this great globe of ours. I know we have such an international audience, which is awesome. A big hello over to Janice, who is moderating over on our YouTube channel, and to Gita, who is moderating over on our Facebook feed. So thank you guys so much. So I'm having a little tea this morning because it got cooled down a little bit here in Redwood City. So it's a little chilly, a little bit, but not too bad. I wanted to just say I hope everybody's doing well, feeling well. You know, if you're watching this live, you know it is Wednesday, March 11th. And you know, kind of worldwide, we're going through a little bit of stuff right now, right? I don't know about you guys, but how you guys are feeling. We're feeling okay here. We're doing well. Everything is up and running and normal here at beadshop.com. But we want you to know that we're really grateful for you guys tuning in and supporting us and hanging out here on our live broadcasts or watching the rebroadcast. We really appreciate it. Your shares, your likes, and your comments always mean the world to us. Business is as usual, and I know, you know, sometimes in these times of strife here in our modern world, you can feel a little isolated and alone, especially right now if you are, you know, hanging out a little bit by yourself and not going into public or crowds. But we are always here for you. We are just a phone call or an email or a live broadcast away. So thank you again so much for your support. And don't worry, you guys. Sunny days are coming, summer is coming, we're going to make it through this just fine. So that's kind of the thinking behind the project today. You know, we've been kind of busy here at Beadshop with, we've been down a few crew members who Cara has left us for, take a little time to herself, and Jenny went on to a new employment, which was really exciting for her. So we're training some new staff. So we've been maybe just a slight bit slower than usual in fulfillment, but that also means that I've gotten to fulfill, and I've gotten to see some of your orders, which is great. So that makes me feel really good when I'm filling an order and I'm writing you a note and I see what you're buying. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked about it. But on that note, I haven't been able to plan as far in advance with these live broadcasts as we're sometimes used to. So again, I'm flying a little bit by the seat of my pants, but that's where I excel. That's one of my superpowers. So with today's project, I was looking on the wall maybe last week, and our wall is covered, if you've been here to our headquarters, and some of you have. You can see we have a long, big wall. We kind of call it our wall of fame with all of our samples on it. And I'm like, you know what? What can I do that's fun, that's easy, that's not too taxing on our brains? And I went all the way down at the end of the wall and I saw all of the stretch therapy samples. And I thought, yes, stretch therapy. That's what we need. We need a project that's easy, that's fun, that you can make quickly, that you can make in all kinds of different ways. So the project that I named it At Ease because it's an easy, simple project, but I've got some things that I'm going to throw at you today that's going to update the old project a little bit. I'm going to show you how I close them off. And thanks to my buddy Krista, who was here yesterday. You guys know Krista Hennessy from the Bead Table, and once in a while she's on air with me. Krista was down to just help package and do stuff because she lives not far from us. And I told her, I said, okay, your reward at the end of all of this packaging is going to be stringing these bracelets. So at the end of the day yesterday, she and I sat down and we actually strung up the project. And it was a lot of fun. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've never worked with elastic before. This is my new thing. So I was super stoked that she was so enthusiastic about it. And I hope you guys will be enthusiastic about it as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at the project, shall we? Okay, so there it is. The stuff that we need is right here in front of you so you guys can see it. When I went to pull for the project, I actually pulled mostly from stock that we had from things. We did order a few things in to make sure that our stock levels were really high, but I wanted to be inspired by our tribal and trade wall because I love all of our tribal and trade. And so we're using the Stretch Magic today. And I've got everything also kind of over here as well, a lot of stuff over here. So you can see we're using the Stretch Magic. It's the 0.7 millimeter. We carry it in 2 sizes. So we're using the thinner size today. We're also using, I'm going to click back over here. We're also using some it's kind of a variety of beads here, I guess is what I want to say. We're using some 6 millimeter fire polish. You can see it kind of in the middle of the photo, that big, shiny, beautiful fire polish. And then we've got the Popcorn Padres in red clay. 1 package of the Russian blue. You know what? Those Russian blues just lay me out right now. They're so gorgeous. I love them so much. And we get them from a great source who has been selling trade beads forever and ever and ever. So you know what you're getting is the real deal. These Russian blues are so beautiful. 1 strand of the Copper Temple, a queen size shadow is thrown in there. The small dents, which I'll talk about in a minute because they're so killer. The Circle of Bronze, those round bronze kind of, ring-like beads. Peaceful Ganesha, the Ganesh charm right there, the crimp tubes, crimp covers, and some hypo cement if you want a knot. So I'm gonna gold. They come in a really super long strand. This is, I think, less than half of them left on this thread. And I bet if you go over to beadshop.com, or Janice, you or Gita can post them in the chat. We have them in a lot of colors, and I think it says the length of the strand. But you get a ton of these beads. And you can really modify this to your own color story. I chose kind of this red and blue because, I don't know, I feel like the red and the blue kind of have a vintage vibe to it. sort of. I don't know. I love that color combo. So I'm going to, so that's why I use those. But you can use any of them. You can mix them up. The natural Padres, I think, do I have some hanging on the wall? I don't, but I have like these green ones, or I think it's I should know the names of all of these, but they're all over 44 inches of beads. Thank you, JP. I knew you'd be on it. These are the ones that we have in green. They're really, I think, a beautiful color as well. They kind of evoke kind of a vintage vibe also. They're glass beads. The Padres are glass, in case you were wondering. But I really love them. So you can go over to beadshop.com, look at all the Padres, and take a look at the colors. The ink blue is gorgeous. The natural is gorgeous. So whatever works for you there. Okay. Here are the Russian blues. Now the Russian blue, this is a Venetian glass bead. You can see that. There they are. They're a beautiful blue color, and they were used in the African trade. They're very, I want to say, kind of random in their sizes, right? And their thicknesses, right? But it's a really great bead. It has a large hole, and again, it really evokes kind of that vintage, kind of African trade bead feel to it. I put in these guys in the list. These are called dents. Are small dents, actually, the small ones. They also come in a variety of kind of lengths and thicknesses. These are aluminum, is what the word I was trying to think of. Aluminum beads. Again, they have kind of that kind of fun, cool vintage vibe to them, and you get a variety of kind of sizes when you get the dents. Nikki's asking about the full hank. Nikki, it's a long hank. I'll show you when I change the camera. It almost won't fit in the shot. But let's take a look at the rest of these. I've got the temple here. Temple. You could also use tribal hishi or any of kind of the spacers and stuff that we have. Coiled spacer would look good. But it has a nice large hole to it. I use them in copper. And then kind of, I don't know, it's not really the linchpin, but I love these. I haven't used these for a while and I love them. It's called Ancient Clay, and these are a clay bead that come in a variety of different tones. When Krista was stringing this piece up yesterday, she was like, wait a minute, what are these beads? I don't even know them. And I'm like, wait a minute, you've combed this website, Krista, back and forth. I can't believe that you haven't seen them before. So if you don't know Ancient Clay, get familiar. They're really awesome. And you'll see how we use them in the piece. I really, really like them. And these will be, you get in your bag about 10 grams. So you get a ton of these because they're really light. So they go really, really far. And then, of course, I've got the Padres here. Something that's not on your list. What a surprise that I've added something. But that's what happens when I do these shows that are kind of off the cuff a little bit. I just grab some things because why not? I'm going to add in today's project, and we'll add it to the list after the broadcast. I'm going to use some deerskin lace. You could use 5 or 3 millimeter. We carry it in different widths. So, I'm using the 5 millimeter today, but we also carry it in the 3 mil. And I'm using it in the color called Saddle. And then I have some Irish wax linen in denim and in walnut, but you could use any color, and you're going to see how I use them. It's just kind of a little added bonus. Okay, so let's take a look at the piece here in front of me. And I'm working on what we call our ultimate design board. And the ultimate design board is kind of cool. If you don't have one, we carry them at Beadshop. They go in and out really fast. So if you're watching this at any time and we're out of stock on them, put yourself on the notification list, okay? And you'll get a notification as soon as they're back in stock, okay? And you can jump in and grab yours. I love mine. I was turned on to it by Janice. Janice loves this. This is her favorite thing to bead on, and I like it as well. Though Kristen reminded me yesterday when we were working on the project, she goes, "Oh, I love my Ultimate Design Board." She goes, "But tell people if they don't have one and they want to lay things out." She said, "Remember your little accordion thing that you made from a manila folder?" It's just a manila folder I grabbed. And I made a little accordion out of it. And you can lay your pieces out, like if you're stringing, let's say, and you want to lay things out like this, you can just kind of put them in. You don't have to make them this high. I kind of made this accordion a little bit tall. But you can lay your pieces out too if you want, to kind of make your little lines like this. So you could totally do it that way as well. When I folded these this morning, I folded them really tall. You can see that. So you can make them a little shorter, so they're not such a deep canyon for when you're stringing, okay? But that's a fun way to do it as well. So let me get a little tighter in the piece. Sorry, I hit the camera there. But these are the pieces that we strung up yesterday. I'm going to get, whoops, that's a little too tight. Let me get a little wider here. Okay, and you can take a look and see. I strung one of these, and bless Krista's heart, she was just a machine stringing these up yesterday when we were working on these. So these are the 3 that Krista strung from the beads, and this is the one that I strung here. And the cool thing about this project is you can just string, right? What I do is I'll put all of my stuff kind of out. Whoops, let me go the other way here. And I'll just put everything in little, dishes, or of course I have our triangles here, which are really super handy. And the triangles are great because they fit right in the design board like that. Let me move this up a little bit so you guys can see. Let me see if I've got some more triangles here. The triangles walk all over the place in this office because everybody loves them. So sometimes I don't always have them where I should have them. But see how you can just put your little guys right here. I'm going to do that like this. I'm going to scoot those. Maybe I'll scoot that over. And see how they kind of fit? That appeals to my sense of symmetry or order. I don't know. So there's that. And then let me put these guys in here too. Okay. So you can just kind of lay things out and then start stringing. Oh, and I also, Nikki, promised you about the length of this. So here, I'm just going to kind of slide this across the screen as I go. See how long, there's a lot of beads here on these Padres. These are the green ones. I think this one might be lettuce. I'm not sure, but it's a lot of beads. Okay. So, so there you have it. That's how they come, just like that. So let me grab some Stretch Magic, and I'll be willing to bet that you guys have some elastic thread sitting in your stash. If you don't, we carry it at Beadshop, and we always thank you for your support with your orders. But when I was talking with Krista yesterday when we were making these pieces, she was like, "Hey, I have some elastic, I've just never used it." And I'm like, all right, come on now. Let's get this elastic out and use it. I love it. And there's some ways that we treat the elastic so it's not, so it lasts as long as it can. It's not a permanent stringing solution, really. But if you kind of take care of your bracelets and you close them off or knotted them really well, you'll be able to get as long of a life as you can out of using these guys, okay, out of wearing these guys. And that's one of the things I'm going to share with you today. So, okay, so we've strung 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to string a 5th one, though you can see you have a ton of beads here, so you can make a whole bunch of these. You can see we used the red talisman, and Krista hogged all the red talisman for herself when she was stringing. So, but you can see you can make things symmetrical, kind of like I did this one here with, let me hold it up a little bit so you guys can see it. See how I used that fire polish and then I kind of contrasted it with the popcorn padre, the padre right here, and then I put 3 of those temple beads there. So it's kind of a shiny and not so shiny mix of the beads. I love the way this looks. And then over here, this is where I tossed on the charm right here on the end, and I'll show you how I'll do that. But that's the peaceful Ganesha charm there. Okay. So that one's ready to go over there. And notice also, you guys, how I closed everything with tape so that beads don't end up on the floor. All right. So there's that. These that Krista made, I thought they were really fun. She just went to town and used a bunch of beads kind of randomly and strung kind of, or string of consciousness really. She just kind of strung. The queen size shadow is there. One of the talismans is there. The other talisman is over here. And I might actually pinch that talisman and use it on my piece. I don't know. We'll see. But it looks great. You can just, you know, kind of string it up. It doesn't have to have a real, I don't know, pattern behind it, right? And so, what we want to do with that, bear with me here just a second. What we want to do with that is we can mix our beads. You can see this one here, this guy and this guy. So it just depends on what you like and what you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and start in with stringing these guys on. The thing that you want to make sure about, you guys, is that the, what do I want to say, the hole sizes of these that you have all fit on your thread. So I've got a 0.7 millimeter, bear with me here just a second. I've got a 0.7 millimeter string, stretch string, right? And so you want to double check and you want to make sure that the size will go through your beads. So the clay bead that I've got here, that's the one that might be the stickler. So I just want to check it and make sure it goes on. And it does, right? Perfect. So bear with me here. Okay, so just you want that ease of use for that one. So you can also, if you want, and it's also not on the materials list, but we're going to need it when we actually close it up. This is the flexible eye needle, I think, or the collapsible eye. Why can't I ever remember what this is? Let me double check it. Tell me, Janice, you've got it really quick there. Flex. I'm just going to check it real quick here. It is the, I always used to call them the twisted wire needles. It is the flexible eye. Ding, ding, ding. That's the one that wins. So it's the flexible eye needle, and I use it when I close things out. Okay. So so you'll see me use that. So you don't have to stiffen the elastic at the ends or anything. You're just going to go ahead and string it up. Okay. So great question, Anita. you're right on the ball with that. How long should the elastic be for when I cut the elastic for this bracelet? So these finished pieces, you can see this one's open. Let me measure this one out for you. I like them to have a little bit of room so they're not super tight. That means that it'll also have a little bit of a longer life. So this one's about 7.5 inches. Krista was, her wrist is just maybe slightly larger than mine, so she was stringing them with an eye for her wrist. My wrist is about 6.5 inches, so I make mine somewhere between 7 and 7.25, depending on how bulky the beads are, right? Because if the beads are bulky, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of extra, of what I want to say, extra room, right? A little bit of extra length so it has some movement on your wrist. So I'm going to go ahead and also put some tape on this one, because if I know me, those beads will end up on the floor. So I'm going to get that little piece of tape, fold it over, and that's it. Okay, so I think I am, Krista, if you're watching out there, I'm going to steal one of these red talisman right off of this one, because let's string up one more, shall we? And I'm going to take a look at this length. I'm going to get that one off. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to use, I think, just maybe some Padres for the end of this one. Now this one, you can see with these circle of bronze, I love them, and they have a big hole, and a design feature for these is that if you want, you can have them kind of slide over your beads. Can you see how Krista strung that one over that ancient clay bead like that? So it's kind of a fun, I don't know, little design influence there. Maureen over on the Facebook feed is asking, how long would you make this if you were making it for a younger girl, like 6 or 7? You know, I don't know, since I've never had kids, but if anybody has made these for kids, throw your thoughts in there, because I'd like to know what you guys think lengthwise. I'm going to stop this at 7.5 inches, I think. There we go. Okay. And so I'm going to retape this. Okay. And my tape is sitting over here. Okay. And the stretch cord, who's asking that? Someone over on the YouTube feed is asking about, does a stretch cord have a shelf life? You know, it has a shelf life kind of like a rubber band has a shelf life, right? All of the stretchy cord like this will eventually deteriorate over time. It just, that's how this cord is. But you do get the ease of use of this cord. We also have, and I didn't grab it, right? But we also carry elastic that is fabric covered, which I also love. It's about a 1 millimeter. And if you're using beads that all have like big holes and not like smaller holes that it won't fit through, but that fabric covered elastic is great. I love it. And it'll really have, I think it lasts a little bit longer than the Stretch Magic. But I'll be honest, I have a lot of pieces. The Stretch Therapy beads we have over on the wall, those have been strung for years now, and they're easy, you know, they're great. They still hold up really, really well. So I'm going to show you how I close these. So bear with me here as I string this one up. So the length of thread, I don't know, if 7.5 inches is the goal for my bracelet, thereabouts, I'm gonna maybe cut about 1 foot of thread. Okay, so I've got the ends to work with, because that's the other thing. The ends, as you're working with this, the ends may get stretched. They may get kind of, I don't know, shop worn a little bit, like we like to say, as you're stringing. So you want to be able to kind of clip those ends away so that the thread that your bracelet is actually living on is thread that hasn't been what do I want to say, compromised, I suppose, right? So let's get started with the stringing, and I'm going to put my beads, I don't know, maybe I'll just do something really easy and straightforward here. And you don't need a needle, you just need some nimble fingers. Okay. There we go. And as you're deciding about your design, throw in whatever strikes your fancy, really. And it strings up quick. So there are those. I'm going to do another, I don't know, maybe I'll alternate with these temple beads, which I like a lot. If I can get it on there. And these guys. The thing about these small holes is that it doesn't facilitate fast bead stringing. But look at how cool these ancient clay pieces look, right? Can you guys see that? I really like them. And just by putting in those little temple spacers, they look, I think they look pretty good. Let me make sure that I'm still in the shot there. And let me get a little bit tighter in on this so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay. And we're just going to go for it, go for it, go for it. Now, when you're pulling your color palette, let me talk a little bit about pulling a color palette for a piece like this. I started with the color, okay? I went over to the Padres wall and I looked at them and I said, you know what? I'm going to go for the red. So I started with the red. Then I went over to the Tribal and Trade wall and I said, what kind of goes with these red Chipotle popcorn Padres? And I just started pulling beads that way. I went directly to these ancient clay beads. Number one, because we haven't used them for a while and I really love them. Let me try and use a different color because they come in some kind of different earth tone colors. There we go. And so I popped over with the ancient clay and I tested it because I knew that would be the bead that had the smallest hole. So I double checked that it would fit on the 0.7. And then I just started adding. And I thought that the red, I pulled the red talisman because I really liked the way that looked. And I just kind of jumped in with it. Things were looking a little overly red, right? So that's when I went and I pulled the Russian blue. But they string pretty quickly, and especially if you, let me show you a little trick that I do. I put them in the dish because it was kind of pretty to look at in the dish, but this is a trick. If you leave your Padres on your strand, my strand is a little tangled at the moment, but if you leave them on the strand like this, okay, and I grab them here between my fingers, I leave everything lined up, and I can slide my cord all the way through. Look at that. That was fast. That was a fast stringing. Let me, okay, great. We're getting close. So I'm going to put on this. I'm going to put on some ancient clay. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that red talisman on. And I think these ancient clay will be thin enough that that red talisman can run along the area here. Oh, and Lynn, thank you. You know, I was so determined to get this started. I didn't mention that, and it actually is pretty important. What Lynn just mentioned on the Facebook feed, and I want to share this with you, is that she pre-stretches. And I do pre-stretch. I give it just a little, not a lot of pre-stretching, but just a little bit, right? You just want to make sure that it's kind of, I don't know, stretched out just a little bit so that the weight, especially if you're using heavier beads, right? That if you stretch it out just a little bit, it gets the kind of preliminary stretch out of it, if that makes sense, and then it's good to go. So thank you, Lynn, for mentioning that. I appreciate it, right? So, Minnie is also asking, could you double the elastic cord to give it more strength? Yeah, you sure could. It just depends on how you're going to close it. I'm going to show you how I crimp it, right? And I'm also going to show you how I knot it, because some of you are going to be worried, I guess, using the crimp tube. I'm not. I love crimping elastic, but I'm also going to show you how to knot it. Okay, so we'll get to that actually right now. Let me see if this red talisman closed off like I wanted it to, and it did. So see how this just kind of runs along that little section, and I'm going to close it probably. Let me make sure my length is okay though. So close. So I'm going to put just a couple of beads on here. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, I also have that circle of bronze. I should have put that on. Let me put that on over here. And it'll kind of walk on. There we go. And then I'll put these guys on. And then I'll check the length one more time. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, I like the movement. Look at how cute that is. Come on now. Super cute. All right. Let me just check the length. Yeah, it's great. And I might take one off of that end, but there we go. So now we've got all 5 of our bracelets. So let me, I'm gonna clear my path here, because again, if you know me, you'll know that my beads will end up on the floor if it's too, if there's too much going on. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna carefully take all of my little trays out of the way. And look at how many of these ancient clay you have left. I use them kind of abundantly in this, but you've got plenty here for a lot of projects. So let me bring this guy down. So now this is where the board I think really works out nicely too. Okay, so I'm gonna come in and I'm going to lay out my pieces here, and notice how I've very gingerly taken the tape off of everything. Okay, and here, let me take the tape off of this one. Maybe. Sometimes it's kind of tough to get the tape off if you can't take it off. You know, if you can't tear it off. What you can do is give it a little clip with your thread snips. That'll help it open up, and then you can just pull the tape out of that, or the strands out of that opening in the tape. There we go. And this one. Again, give it a little bit of a clip. That way you don't like stretch your cord or break it or whatever. Because, you know, when you stretch your elastic cord, it's like a rubber band. It can snap back up. So there's that one. Okay, so this is a pretty nice little array of items here, I think. So let's go ahead and start the crimping, start the closing process. Okay, this one, like I said, I'm going to crimp. So let me show you. All right, the crimp tubes I've got the 2x2 crimps, and I've got crimp covers. Okay, and it doesn't matter what color crimp tube you use, as long as you have the color of crimp cover that you want to match everything. I think I told you in the materials, I think I got these right for brass. Whoops, you couldn't see them. For the brass ones. But you could also use copper or silver, whatever worked for you. Okay. So to start, and I'm actually going to take one of these beads off because I think it was long by like one bead. I'm going to double check and measure one more time. This is just, well, maybe it's just shy. Yeah, 7.5. Once I get the crimp tube on there, it'll be about 7.5 inches. Okay. So, what I do is, I'm going to get nice and tight here so you can see. Whoops. Okay. Let me move these up. So now I'm going to put the crimp tube here on one. All right. Now this is when I get my needle. Okay. And this is also why I like a little bit of a longer piece. So watch what I do. I'm going to bend the crimp over my finger so I've got a nice big tunnel there. It might even go through without the needle. Let me just check it. Yeah, look at that. I didn't even need the needle. That's probably why I don't have it on the list. But see how it goes through? Doubled. Now, if you're worried, you could put 2 crimps on here, but I'm not particularly worried. And I'm going to crimp it with, and I'm going to put the crimp cover over it. Now, this is the thing. If you take anything away from this, if you're going to crimp, okay, you are going, these are the things you're going to have to follow. You don't want to crimp any stretch into the piece, okay? So you don't want to pull it too tight like this, tight, 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 so that there's stretch in the piece, right? It's just relaxed like this. And there's just a little bit of space there around the crimp, and that's going to even itself out after I've crimped the piece. You also want to make sure that the elastic is laying side by side. Now everybody's saying, okay, isn't it going to cut the elastic? Isn't it going to cut the elastic? It's not. It's not. Trust me. I'm going to do one, let me do one without the beads so you can really see it. So here's this, I'm going to clip this, and I'm going to put this, and I'm going to put this through. Okay, there we go. And my elastic is laying side by side, right? This is my tiny little bracelet, world's tiniest bracelet with no beads on it. But the elastic is laying side by side. Can you see that? It's not crossed under the crimp. All right. Now I'm going to go underneath with my crimp. I'm going to go and with the little tooth at the top of the crimping plier. So see what I've got there? So you can see it on the side view. And now watch. I kind of spread that elastic apart a little bit, and I crimp the whole crimp tube across. Now you can kind of see that each little crimp, each little leg of the elastic is living in its own little tube. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to fold it like that, and I'm going to give it a little hug. Okay, now I'm going to cut off the excess here and here. Okay, Now I've crimped it firmly, not so firmly that I'm cutting. Look at how much, look at, I am really pulling that sucker, right? I'm pulling it, pull, pull, tugging, right? I'll keep going, right? I'm like it's not going anywhere. I mean, your bracelet isn't going to be under this much stress all the time anyway, okay? So look, that is not, it's not going anywhere, you guys, right? So next, and this is the 0.7 that I'm using. So let me crimp it on here, okay? I've been doing this, how long have I been stringing beads? A long time, 30 years almost, right? And I've been making elastic bracelets at least 20 of those 30 years. And this is always how I close them off. So there's that. I've crimped it nice and firm, turn it to the side, close it. Be really mindful though of how you're doing this. You don't want to nick the elastic with your tool, right? You want to just come in and just give it a little hug, right? Close it up. Being careful to keep the tool off of the elastic, right? And I'm going to come in and I'm going to clip this away. If this were next to a large hole bead, I'd just let this, you know, I probably should have put it right here at the end because it would have been hidden by the red talisman. But instead, I'm going to use a crimp cover and it'll just look like a little bead. Okay, so I'm going to put this crimp cover over that crimp, let it nestle. See how it's, that crimp tube nestles right in to the crimp cover, and I just come in and close it, and then I give it one last little hug. I put the seam of the crimp tube, can you see that, facing up? Actually not in that one, I want to put it in the rounder, not the crimper. I put it in facing up. Let me get it in there so I can see it and then I'll show you guys. And then as I squeeze that on the seam, if you guys can see that, as I squeeze, come on, as I squeeze on the seam, it closes the seam up. All right, if you want to go that way, then go that way. There we go. Can you see that there? Just a gentle squeeze and the seam closes. And that's it. That is all she wrote. There it is. And we'll have more crimping pliers in. I love, these are the Xuron crimping tool that we carry. Janice said it looks like we're out of stock on them on the website, but we'll have them in soon. Put yourself on the notification list, okay? And you'll get a notification as soon as they're back in. Look at how great those beads kind of travel on there. So one down. Now, if I'm gonna knot one, okay? Because I know that some of you knot. I know even though I've crimped this on air, you've seen me do it, you're like, no, Kate, no way. I'm just gonna knot mine. That's cool. That's fine too. I'm gonna knot the one that has this large hole bead because I can bury that knot in the large hole bead. Okay, so I'm just gonna come in and I'm gonna do an overhand knot this way, a half hitch once, a half hitch twice, but before I tighten it, let me get my hypo cement, okay, and a baggie so I don't get any glue on this design board. Now again, I don't want to put any stretch into this, but you can see I've got my overhand knot. I'm going to get my glue. I'm going to put a little glue right there, just a little puddle. Okay. And I use hypo, I don't use zap. Zap will stiffen this cord, okay? And that's what you don't want. It'll make it brittle. So you really do want the hypo cement. So you can see I've tightened my knot and then I'm going to do one last half hitch over the top of that, nice and tight like this. Then this is the secret. What I have to do is I have to put this down and not screw with it until 24 hours have passed. Okay? The glue needs time, as see how I'm fiddling with it, but I just want to make sure that knot is nice and tight. Yep, there we go. I have to walk away from this. The glue needs time to cure. So if you just let this sit, walk away, the next day you come back, the glue will be set, will be cured, and you can clip it, the tails away, and boom, you'll be ready to go. Okay? So let it sit. I know we're always ready to go, oh my gosh, I want to wear it. But that's what makes the glue on the knot last. Okay? So I'm going to set that one. I'm setting it over here. I'm not, I'm going to clip the tails maybe a little bit shorter so they're not all over the place, but not close, right? And don't look at it. Just let it be. Let it sit there. So let me crimp these really quick. I want to crimp off the other two. Okay. And then, yeah, and I can pop the bead over the top of this as well, I guess, at this point, if I want. There we go. It's inside. It's popped in there. But that's it. That's all I'm doing. My crimp tube is here. My other end of the elastic is here. The tubes you want to use are heavy wall tubes, okay? Tubes that have a heavy wall so that when you go and crimp them, they're not going to be thin and sharp and slice through your thread, okay? So you want to just make sure that everything is, that your crimp tube is thick enough. The ones that we carry at Beadshop are a heavy walled tube. We carry them in a variety pack too of different colors, which is nice, this 2 millimeter. And then the crimp cover that you're using is a 3 millimeter size. So the crimp cover is one size bigger usually than your crimp tube. Come in, give it a little hug. The thing I like about the Xuron crimpers is it has that chain nose plier at the top, right? So it's nice and easy to use. I'm going to go ahead and clip these away. I'm going to crimp all of these, and then I'm going to put the cover on all of them. I find that if I repeat my tasks, if I batch my tasks together, I can I have better muscle memory. There is a question over on the live chat over on YouTube that is a great question. Does the guru bead work well with the Stretch Magic? I think it does. And I, if I can holler out for somebody to grab me a guru bead, I'll show you the secret to them because I think I have time. Hey, Jordan, or Chris, or Diana, or somebody will hear me, maybe. Ah, yeah, look, Jordan heard me. Hurrah! Will you grab a guru bead for me, please and thank you? All right, so good. They know to listen for me when I'm on the live broadcast. Let me get this a little closer to my eyes. I was really batting 1,000 with this. There we go. There it is. This is through. And then let me do this last one. And then I'll show you. Thank you. Here's our guru bead. I'll show you how I string that. I've got a little tip for that too. Let me grab another crimp tube. This guy goes in. And this here. Someone's saying over on the YouTube feed that their their elastic bracelets stretched out and stayed that way, try doing that pre-stretching trick that I did before I started stringing these guys. So that pre-stretching trick is simply just getting your stretch magic and pre-stretching it like this. Okay, it'll take a little bit of the stretch out of it, but it'll still keep it supple. And sometimes if you're using heavier beads like this and you don't pre-stretch, it'll be like a rubber band, right? And it'll just kind of lose its oomph. So a little bit of pre-stretching, I think, will go a long way. And also the heavier beads, like I probably honestly wouldn't string a lot of super heavy beads on these. I would, you know, like these, the talisman, I mean, these aren't, pardon me, super weighty, but they're heavy enough. And they, but something that's really super heavy will pull that thread too much and kind of, you know, kind of loosen it up. I would recommend, pardon me, I would recommend having maybe using that 1 millimeter elastic. Let me see, someone just walked by. I'm going to see if I can text Chris and have him grab me some of that other elastic. Let me see if he's paying attention to his text. Would you get me some elastic from the wall by the surfer cord, please? Let's see. There we go. Because I want to show you guys that too. I'm going to put this guru bead to the side. We'll look at that in a minute. But let me go ahead and crimp these and put crimp covers on, and then I'm going to show you kind of a little extra design feature for this one. Okay, so I bring it in, I come in, I crimp, I turn it to the side, I fold, I hug. We're only hugging crimp tubes nowadays, right? Safe to hug the crimp tubes. Little pandemic humor there. And come in, not to make light of the situation, but you know, we've got to keep going on. Here, come in and hug it, and with the tips of your plier, and you can give it a little bit of a, you know, a stretch to make sure it's nice and tight. That's the one I glued, so don't even look at that one. Then I come in and I crimp, and I crimp, or cut rather. I'm going to cut this one away. And this one's already been done. And I'm cutting those with the old school thread snips, which cut them away really nicely. And let me get the, see, I can't even see it here. See, there's your crimp. I can hardly see it. So I might just leave this one and not put a crimp tube there, because it'll, or a crimp cover, it'll just call attention to it. So I'm just going to come in, give it one final hug there. That's not going anywhere. Okay, now this one I am going to cover. This one goes in. Come on. The other one slid in there so easily. Why is this one giving me trouble? There we go. And I'm just going to come in and close it around. Let me get a little closer to my vision here. There we go. Close it up. Can you guys see that? Be really careful. You don't want to smash the crimp cover. You just want to push it around the crimp. There we go. There's that one. And there's this one. I'll put one on here too. Okay. Get back over here so I can see. Can I crimp the cloth covered stretch? I wouldn't actually do that. And once we have some, you know, and I might actually have some over in our bin over here too. So in a minute, I'll just double check it. but let me close this. Then I'll address all of that at the end. So these are all closed. I'm going to come in though and just snip those a little bit closer. We're going to pretend it's 24 hours. Okay. So here's all 5. Look at that stack of bracelets. How beautiful they look. I just love them so much. Okay. So I want to show you, this was something that Krista and I were chatting about yesterday when we were making these pieces. And so I haven't really tried it yet, and I thought I would save it and try it on air with you guys. So I hope it works. So I've got some saddle colored deerskin lace. All right. And I thought it might be kind of cool. Like, you could just wear these one at a time, right? And the other way is to put these on. You want to kind of roll these on like this. Okay. And you can see I've got some room here. Let me just roll these on right here and roll them on here like this. So see how pretty, let me take this cuff off so you can really see how these go on. Okay, like so. Let me put this one on with the charm. All right, so you can stack these all like this and they look fantastic. Okay, but I thought it would be fun to also kind of keep these together as a set. So I got the suede, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in, I'm going to bring the suede around so that everything bunches up, but there's movement here. Okay, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of tail so I can kind of play around with it, because I haven't done this yet. This is a whole new thing, but this is an ode to what Krista and I were playing around with or talking about yesterday when we were making these. I grabbed 2 colors of the Irish wax linen, so I think I'm gonna use blue because there's some blue in there, and I'm gonna reel off, I don't know, maybe a little less than a foot, and I'm gonna come in and clip and silk wrap a little closure on here. Okay. And you don't want the loop to be giant, but you don't want it to be tiny either, because you still want these to be able to move. So let's see if this works. I don't know. It might all end in tears. Who knows? Okay, like this. Then I'm going to come in, I'm going to go through the loop. With that end of my thread. We have a great skill builder on silk wrapping. It's a real Beadshop staple. Okay, pull both ends so everything gets tight. Not too tight because I don't want to malform the leather too much there. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to clip that off. Now, I use this wide cord, so I'm going to clip it a little bit here, maybe here. And let me see how I can kind of cut the leather in half like this. Let's see if I can get some beads to fit on this. I don't know if it's thin enough. I might have to do a little bit of an angle cut there. There we go. Let me see if I can put this on. These some of them might be a little bit larger. Let me see. Okay, no on those, but let's try these. Yes, the Russian blue works. Look at that. Let's angle cut this one. Somebody's car alarm is going off outside. It'll eventually stop, right? Just ignore it. There we go. Those, look at that. And let me put, I wonder if I can get this, the dents, the small dents have a gigantor hole. Let me see if I can get it. Let me cut this a little bit shorter. Let me angle cut it. And let me see if I can slide that guy on. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Yes. Now, to keep all of these in place, I'm also going to continue to silk wrap. I think I've got the walnut color here. And the car alarm's down. Perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna use this to silk wrap underneath. Now I guess I could just do a knot, but I think the silk wrap will be enough of a stopper. Okay, so just bear with me here. I don't know, I wanted to have it maybe have a little more of a boho flair to it. I think this certainly does give it a little boho flair. Something different. Again, you know where I thought of this morning. In the shower, that's right. Make it a little tighter so you can see that. I'm noticing that the shot's a little bit far. There you go. That's better. Okay. That one, let me come in and clip. Clip. I might make this end not quite so long. There we go. Whoops, the bead fell off of this one. Let me put it back on. Maybe it was this bead. Yeah. Where'd that piece of, there it went. And kind of stagger those wraps a little bit so that the beads aren't one next to the other. And check out the skill builder for the silk wrap is really an easy thing to follow. It's one of our first videos that we did on there. I think Janice did it. Silk wrapping is one of the first things I learned how to do when we were a brick and mortar store at beadshop.com all those years ago. It's been a super handy skill. Our class director at the time, her name was Mia. This was back in the early 90s. And she was a sailor in her spare time. And silk wrapping comes to us from the sailing, world of sailing knots. So she was a really good silk wrapper and really showed me a lot about knotting. Really kind of forged my love for knots. I'm going to do this bottom one in the blue because I've got this piece right here. And I'm going to silk wrap that closed. Okay. Like so. This goes through. Pull that tight, pull it both ways. And the wax linen really grabs onto itself, so it's not going anywhere. Clip. And clip. There we go. Hopefully I caught everything. But let's take a look and see if this looks like anything here. So see how, let me get a little wider with the shot. Okay, so here is the just the stack of 5. So see how they lay out kind of flat like that along the loop. So this is kind of, you know, that's about, you're asking me how wide that is. I know you are. So let me get my, I don't know, it's about an inch, maybe a little more, 1.25 inches-ish, right? And so when I wear this, when I put it on, I'll just grab it, put it on like this, and this just kind of will go wherever you want it to go, right? But look how cute that is. I'm gonna just kind of move this over maybe. I could wear it on the front or the back. I could shorten it, whatever, but I kind of like the way it kind of gives a little flair to this, right? I could also just do them shorter if you want it shorter. This is the 0.5 or 0.5 millimeter, or the 5 millimeter deerskin lace. You could go with a thinner deerskin, or you could use, I've got a little scrap of leather here, you could use round leather. It's maybe not the right color, but you could kind of bring them all together like this with the round leather too, and do it that way. But I think it adds a little bit of boho flair to this, right? Like this. I'm going to do this here. Let's lay it out kind of pretty. There we go. Not bad. I like it a lot. So that's a little, I don't know, that's a little variation on a theme with this, right? I'm going to show you the guru bead. We've got some time, so I want to show you that guru bead. I'm going to let you, whoops, sorry, I just hit the camera again. I'm going to look real quick. I think I might have some elastic over here that I'm going to grab. So keep looking at the bracelet while I double check and see if I have some of that fabric color covered elastic. If I don't, I'll holler out and have somebody bring me some. But I want to show you the differences between those because you don't see it that often, and I really like using it for some things. Yeah, I don't see it here. I'm gonna have to holler, so bear with me while I holler out. Hey, can somebody bring me one of the fabric covered elastics, please? Please? Is anybody here? You got it? Thanks, Chris. All right. Ask and ye shall receive. And I'll show you this. Okay. There we go. I'm back. I'm back from hollering. The guru bead, the way it comes, this is traditionally used on malas. And I'll show you with the fabric color covered elastic when Chris brings it. They're made up of two pieces, right? The base of that bead, which is this one. And then the regular bead, this is a 10 millimeter, and it has holes drilled, one hole across and one hole that goes up halfway to the center so they meet.
What do you need?
I need fabric covered elastic.
Just elastic?
Not the Stretch Magic, but the elastic.
Yeah.
Please and thank you. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, Karen brought them all.
That was Jordan.
Jordan brought them all. Perfect. I've got them all here, and I'll show you this in a second. So the inside of the guru bead, what it looks like is here's the bead. Okay, one hole goes across. You can't, this is, why am I drawing this with a gray pen? That doesn't really, you can't see a darn thing, can you? Hang on a second. Let me get tighter in here. Here's the bead. That's better. There we go. One hole goes across this way, like this, right? And then the bottom hole comes here. So when your thread goes through, it has to turn that corner. Okay, like that, and then the knot goes here. The little cone actually goes underneath it, and then the knot goes below it. Okay, does that make sense? We have them in a bunch of different types of stones. This one looks like it's red aventurine. So let me grab the needle, because you do need a needle for this. Okay, and I'm going to use the flexible eye needle, which is right here. Okay, I know it wasn't really much hollering, but I did it a little bit. Great. I'm going to use this mocha, and I'll show you guys how this works. So this comes in 5-yard increments, And let me take it off the little thing and show you what this is like. Let me see if I can find the end. I'm gonna take off the little top part here, hopefully without cutting the elastic. Yep, there we go. And so let me get really close with the well, I'm pretty close. I want you guys to be able to see this though. It's fabric covered elastic, okay? So the end, if I fray the elastic a little bit, you can see that it's woven cord. There's the elastic underneath it. Can you see that? Over just a regular traditional white elastic, okay? But it's a really tightly woven cord. You saw how hard it was for me to even fray that end, right? So the elastic is protected by this woven thread over the top of it, okay? So it's super durable. This is a 1 millimeter. I know you're asking me, does it fit the Padres? I know you're thinking that. I'll check it. It does. It does fit the Padres. I bet it might, it may not fit maybe the temple beads. If you have trouble though, you guys, with it fraying or whatever, if it makes it hard for you to string, all you need to do, where's my little baggie? Here it is. We can use the zap needle trick, the zap glue needle trick, where I just come in, I extrude, whoops, that was a kind of a large bit of zap, right? And then we'll go in. Janice is asking me if it'll go through the holes of the guru bead. I don't know, JP, we're gonna find out. If not, we'll go ahead and we'll use the stretch magic, but we're gonna find out together. Okay, so I do my little zap needle trick. I put the zap in the baggie, folded the baggie over the end of the elastic, and use the baggie to squeegee the extra off. Okay, and we do carry it in a variety of colors. That was the brown, the mocha. We carry it in gray, in white, and there it is in black right here. Okay, we carry it all. Then we get a little wider here. Once your zap has dried, this is pretty dry, you can come in and give it a nice corner cut so you have a nice pointed needle without having it fray on you, right? And you have plenty of room. I cut kind of a large part of the tip off, but you know, you can keep trimming it because it may fray a little bit as you go along. But see how that stiffened end on the elastic makes it super easy to string. Let's see if it fits through the temple. Okay. It may. The temple actually does have a big hole, but it's hard when the elastic frays. Yeah, look it, they sail right through there. Not a problem at all. Okay. And this I would just knot. I would do that double overhand knot like I did on one of these guys, and I glue it. And I glue with hypo, not with zap, because you see how stiff the zap glue makes this piece, right? So it doesn't, it's not conducive to a knot that is going to be long lasting because it'll make it brittle. Okay, so let me show you then how to put the guru bead on. I'm going to cut off a piece. Let's pretend that this all has beads on it. Okay. And the way you start, and this may or may not fit through. We'll see. It may or may not. Yeah, we'll see if it does. This you do need a needle for, and it just may be too thick, but again, we'll see. Because that bead has the holes going across like this and that one up from the middle that meets it, you need to be able to turn that corner. And I didn't pre-stretch this. Cindy's asking me if I pre-stretch this. I didn't. I don't usually pre-stretch this fabric elastic because I find it's a little It's a little sturdier, I think. Doesn't need to be pre-stretched. It's like fabric elastic, like garment elastic, right, is. So then I see how I used my plier to make a curl. Can you see that? At the end of this needle, so it's now a hook. I come in, I put that hook through the small hole, and it should turn the corner and come out the center. Oh, I can see it. Come on. Come on, you. Let me get it in there. There we go. See, it's come out? Let me string this through till it goes almost to the eye. Then I'll put my elastic through so it doesn't fall out. Let's see what happens, shall we? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But maybe it'll work. Might be too thick, but then again it may not be. Ye of little faith. Look at that. Let me open up. I'm going to open up this eye of the needle, because can you see now how mangled and sad my needle looks? But it doesn't matter. We can still use it. Let me get my round nose plier. And I'm going to kind of open up the eye again so it's large enough to get my thread in there. You know what would be easier? For that, a toothpick. And you know what? This just illustrates, I mean, who cares, right? If it didn't work, and the second side may not work, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? But you'll never know unless you try, you guys, right? And no harm, no foul. Who cares, right? If it doesn't work, then I would just have to switch my stringing material to the clear stretch magic, right? So there we go. It's strung through. This stiff end, I'm a little worried about going through there. I want a supple end for it, right? So I'm going to clip this away. Oh yeah, my awl would also work. I don't know why. It's because the awl isn't sitting. Oh, the awl is here. You could also open that eye of that needle with the awl too. I'm going to pull that through, right? And just pull this. There we go. Now if you have trouble, see, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, if you're having trouble pulling it through, just use your pliers. Be really careful because you don't want this to break in the hole. That's the only thing. There we go. All right. Look at that. Went through just fine. Again, world's smallest bracelet. Now let's see if we can get these two, that's the next trick, through this piece here. And let's do the same thing where we pull it so we make the channel, the hole in the bead, right? We pull that kind of tight. Let me clip it at an angle. Let me see if I can get this in there. I can certainly use the needle if I need to. Let me stretch this open. Or I could put zap glue on the end again. Come on. Inch by inch. There it goes. Who's the boss? You are the boss, sister. Yeah, you are. All right, then that's it. And then the knot I would tie, just an overhand. And that's it, right? Nice and tight. You could put a tiny drop of glue on that. That's not the prettiest knot I've ever made, but you get the idea. And that, my friends, is it. Easy peasy. So remember, with the guru bead and the covered elastic, and look at my poor needle, right? But it still has a few more guru beads left in it, right? It's okay. And you can just get that all and open up the eye of that needle. right? It's curved, but it's not damaged in any other way. It's still usable. So put that in a little baggie, put it aside to use. Okay? So that's it. And who cares? Don't be afraid. I mean, whatever. The only thing I would have to do was cut it apart, put it on the Stretch Magic, and restring it. It's all good. It's okay. But this, you get 5 yards of that mocha colored of the fabric elastic on here, and it's really good. I like him a lot. I like it a lot. So that's it. So the Stretch Magic there, the fabric covered elastic there. I don't know where my Stretch Magic went. I was going to put it in the picture. Did I drop it? You know how it is. I'm going to make this shot a little bit wider so you can see what a mess this table looks. There we go. Right? I don't know where it is. But anyway, here's a piece of it right there. The Stretch Magic. I use the 0.7 millimeter. We also carry it in the 1 millimeter as well. So if you need the thicker or a larger cord, you can just pop up to the 1 millimeter as well. Okay, so that's it. That is, and Michelle's asking, will wire straightener pliers fix the needle? They actually won't. Once that needle is curved like that, it's like curling ribbon. You can't uncurl it. So it's a little, it's kind of the way it is, but it's still usable for sure. And I'm just reading some of the comments here. I mean, I just did this short like this. I mean, obviously this would be covered completely with beads and stuff, but I just did it so you could see that those padres fit on this fabric covered elastic. So that's it. I want to flash back over here to the ingredients that I used, right? And you can see everything that I used in the project. Go ahead over to beadshop.com. You can grab the link right there. I'll put it right over here, beadshop.com, and you can find all of the information on the project and the products from this broadcast. But go, and we have the actual project page for this one, which has all of this listed here. But stroll around, over on the Tribal and Trade page, right? And make up your own colorway if you like. We've got a lot of great fun beads that'll work. If the red chipotle, did I use red chipotle or did I use the red clay? I'm trying to look and see. Red clay is what I used for these beads. If that doesn't suit your fancy, use the green ones or the blue ones or the natural colored ones, whatever works for you, right? You can also, if you opened your newsletters today, I'm going to come back right here to this screen, you know that today is March 11th, 2020, and we do have a sale going on today. It's 25% off all of our Tribal and Trade beads. So if you use coupon code TRIBAL25, it'll take 25% off all of the Tribal and Trade beads that are in your cart, okay? You can also use, if you want to buy other things too, you can't stack the coupons, but instead you could use our Craft 10, 15, or 20 coupons as well, and those are on our website. So choose your discount, whatever it is you want to use, but this 25% off Tribal is a great one, okay? So I wanted to just give another big thank you, you guys, to watching. We really, really appreciate your comments, your likes, your shares, your hearts, all of that. It makes our feed or our broadcast go a little bit higher in those algorithms so more people from around the world can join us right here at the bead table. One last shout out and saying go over to beadshop.com, sign up for our newsletter, and you will You'll find everything that we use there. And the newsletter, we've got a lot going on for this National Craft Month, which is in May, it's March, is National Craft Month. We've got a lot of fun things going on, a lot of giveaways, a lot of cool things. So they're all communicated over in the newsletter. On Friday, you guys, I will be back with Brittany. Brittany is bringing her sunshine and love and three new projects that are going in our Tahoe category. Brittany had never made a Tahoe before, and she's like, you know what I'm gonna make? A Tahoe. Instead of one, she made 3, and they are beautiful. The project will be up tomorrow, which is Thursday the 12th, and Brittany will be here Friday the 13th for our fun Free Tip Friday broadcast. And we're going to show you all the ins and outs and the discoveries of what Brittany discovered about the Tahoe project. Again, thanks so much, you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. We've got this. I'll see you on Friday. Thanks, everyone.